And welcome back to the channel, guys. In today's video I'm going to be showcasing my Faith melee build. This is a build that gives you access to a variety of incantations and weapons that allow you to tackle the game's content easily. I set out to make this build is because I noticed during my first playthrough of the game, the builds I've created, they either hit two factors. They either destroy bosses or were good with overworld enemies. This build alleviates the problems by giving you access to both those things. In today's showcase, I'm going to be showing you not only the weapons and armor you're going to be using, but the spells and incantations I use, and the attributes required to make this build possible. I hope you guys enjoy the video and stick to the end. Now jumping on into stats, this is a Faith build like I said, so we have Vigor at 40. This is high enough to give us enough HP for us to tank hits without dying in one shot. Mine is at 21, which gives us enough FP for us to use our incantations and our weapons ability. Endurance is at 28. Bear in mind, I do have a Religion Source Seal, so some of these attributes like Vigor, Endurance, Strength, and Dexterity are by 5 points. So actually, Endurance is at 23. Now, the reason we have endurance like this is because it gives us enough stamina for us to do melee combat, but also allows us to have a decent equip load for us to medium roll with the armor we're wearing. Strength and dexterity are at 22 and 17. Like I said, these stats are boosted by 5 because of the Religion Source Seal. So basically, those stats there are there because for weapon requirements. Intelligence, you could leave it at base, but there is an alternative weapon that I would like to showcase that requires 11 intelligence. Faith is our main damage stat, so I pumped that all the way up to 41. Mainly, if you are going to take this build to a higher level, you would want to take Faith all the way up to 60 or 80. Arcane is at 13, which is a base requirement for us to use some of the dragonic spells like you've seen in the first clip in the intro. And that is it for stats. Now jumping on into the equipment section, our main weapon, as you can see, is the Blasphemous Blade. Why did I take it off? This is honestly one of the best, if not the best weapon in the game. Not because of its skill take as flame and its passive ability to heal you for every enemy you kill. That's why I said this build has a high survivability rate is because of this weapon. Now just to showcase the weapon art for the actual war. As you can see, pretty damn powerful. Not only does it deal a lot of damage, if it hits the enemy, it actually heals you. And in a boss fight, pulling that ability off, not only deals a buttload of damage, but also heals you, which is really powerful. And heals you for a significant amount. Now there are other weapons that I like to use, which I'll showcase now, but this is the main weapon for now. Our seal is the Clawmark seal. Between the two seal, I've been using the Ghost Slayer seal for a while, but I noticed that the Clawmark seal has slightly higher incantation because we have high strength. But as I go further into the game and my faith set becomes higher, I believe this will have more incant scaling. But for now, the Clawmark seal is what I'm using. Now, the shield is honestly just there for fashion. Like, I just love the way the shield looks. It does have a passive ability that increases your resistances, but just with the helm and the shield, I don't know, it just goes so well. Like, just look at this fashion. I just love it. Now for your armor, I'm using the Crucible 3 set, and honestly, I just like the way this armor looks. Like in Dark Souls or any Souls game, you like main use of armor is for fashion. But you could change the helm for the silver tier mask. This boosts your arcane by a lot. Like you see, I went from 13 with this mask when I go to 21. This gives you access to more dragonic spells, but as you can see, doesn't really go well with the armor. And I already have 13 arcane that gives me access to the dragonic spells that I'm going to be using, so I'll showcase now. So there's no reason for me to wear this mask. But I'm just putting out there that if you want to have more arcane, this mask is pretty good. Now into our talismans. Two-finger talisman, this boosts our faith up by 5. So without it, I'm sitting at 36. With it, I boost up all the way to 41. Uh, I have a great just arsenal. This is for I can wear all of my armor without fat rolling. So without it, as you can see, I moved to heavy load, but with it, I'm to medium load. So this is a definite requirement for this build. Now your last slot, your third slot, could go between two talismans which I like using. The Redigon Source Seal. As you can see, these are my base stats 35, 23, 22, and 17. But with it, it boosts it by quite a bit, so I like using it. But if you don't want to use this talisman because while using it, it does decrease your damage negation, you could go for the Faithful Canvas Talisman. This boosts your incantations. So either one of those two is fine, but I prefer the Redigon Source Seal because I believe that the 5 in Vigor outweighs the damage negation. So yeah, just go for what you want, but definitely keep these two on. Now that is it for the equipment section. Going into the incantations, like I said in the beginning of the video, that this build gives you access to a variety of incantations that you can be using, and you can customize this to your own personal playstyle. Now, there are certain incantations that I would recommend you use no matter what type of faithful you're going to be using. And I will be going through the incantations that I personally like to use and the different alternatives. And I will be showcasing how these incantations work. Now, going into it, Frenzied Burst and Frenzied Flame are really two potent incantations. Frenzied Burst are generally used for single target enemies in the overworld, while Flame of Frenzy is honestly the best incantation in the game, in my opinion, for bosses and large enemies. It has multi-hit potential, and two charged attacks with Flame of Frenzy will put an enemy into a stagger state. Just to showcase these two incantations, this is Frenzied Burst. A charged attack, as you can see, is a single target snipe, but here's a good amount of range, pretty long range in my opinion. And then you obviously have Frenzied Flame. Like you can see, a pretty big AoE attack. Now, the Frenzied Flame and Frenzied Burst does build up the madness effect on you, but it's not really that concerning. Now, Black Flame is an all-around good flame incantation. I prefer it over the regular flame because it does have that infinity where you throw it at the enemy, and after dealing the base damage, it does take away damage over time. Now, for your dragonic spells, there is actually three that I would like to discuss. That being Gil's Flame, Ezek's Decay, and Dragon Ice. Now, Gil's Flame is your regular vanilla Dragon Flame attack. This is what I use for regular mobs and groups of enemies around the overworld, while Zeke's Decay and Dragon Ice is what I will be using during boss fights. Zeke's Decay, once inflicted onto a boss, it causes Scarlet Rot, which is a damage over time effect. Probably thus you could have a passive build where you can just essentially inflict Scarlet Rot onto the enemy and not attack, because Scarlet Rot is a really potent damage affinity. Now, Dragon Ice will inflict Frost. Once the enemy is inflicted with Frost, you have a certain duration of time where all damage that you deal to the boss is 20% extra. You deal 20% more damage once inflicted with Frost, and this does stack up with any other buffs that you're going to be using, which I'll get into a little bit later. Now, just to show off Gil's Flame, as you can see, pretty potent. And if you have a large FP pool, you can keep in your incantation and it will continuously go. And this is a Gil's Flame, no, Ezek's Decay actually. As long as the enemy is hit by that must, they will be inflicted with Scarlet Rot. Now, moving on into the other incantations, the incantations I would recommend no matter what build you are using. Generally, even if I'm playing a dexterity or strength build, I would like to just keep my faith up to 25 or just so I could use these incantations, that being Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength. Now, Golden Vow is increase attack and defense for yourself and allies. This includes your summons. So all around, this is a awesome, if not the best buff in the game, and it does stack with other incantations. That being Flame Grant Me Strength, which if I'm not mistaken, is a 30% increase to physical and fire affinity, and regarding our weapon does deal both physical and fire affinity damage. This Flame Grant Strength is really potent and really synergizes well with my build. And these two do stack up, so in total you could get about a 50% increase in damage. Now, Flame Cleanse Me elevates build ups and cures poison and scarlet rot. That's really good for just traversing the world, and especially the Lake of Rot. If you know where that is, you know the pain of going through it. And Beastal Vitality is a heal HP over time. I generally use this when I'm exploring areas. It's a small heal over time, but it adds up as time goes on. Now, to discuss the alternatives for Frame of Frenzy, that would be Lensex's Glaives, 46 Lightning Spear, and Frozen Lightning Spear. Now, all of these are really good, but my favorite is Lensex's Glaive, just to show it off how absolutely insane this is. Like, you want to become a Sith Lord, this is what you're going to be using. This is really good if there's a bunch of enemies surrounding you. You can just pop this out, bam. All of them are dead. Really potent, really good AoE option. Now, another good alternative to this, if you don't want to use that, is actually Frozen Lightning Spear. I do prefer Frozen Lightning Spear over 46 Lightning Spear, but it's up to you. I prefer this because it does inflict frost, and like I said, frost allows you to deal 20% more damage to enemies. Just to show that off. That's really good to track enemies down, and for larger enemies because they weren't able to, well, escape this. The after effect of the lightning, so really potent in bosses, but not really good for single target humanoid enemies, especially in PvP because it can be easily dodged. And that is it for the incantations that I like to use. There are other incantations which I'm planning to work into my build, such as Elden Stars and Death Lightning. The reason I can use these two is because my faith stat is not high enough, but as I go through the game and I'm reaching a level 150 to 170, which I'm aiming to get my build at, this is the two incantations which I would like to work in. Now this is all for incantations. For your wondrous physics, that is just personal opinion. You could basically do whatever you want. I'm using the boost charge attacks and raise maximum stamina, but you could even use the this one. Yeah, I do not know how to pronounce it. Sorry. Or you can even use the stamina regen. There's a bunch of them that you can use. There's one that boosts lightning damage, boosts holy damage. So there's a lot of them that you can use, but like I said, it's personal opinion to your preferred playstyle. Guys, this is my Faith melee build. I've showcased all of the attributes, armaments, talismans that you're gonna use to create this build. Now for PvP, I have not actually tried this build in PvP yet, but I did do a little bit invasions for the Vare questline, and this weapon, like I said before, the Ash of War of this weapon really helped me a lot. Damn, I just love this weapon art for PvP. It really catches people off guard. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys next time.